Okay, today we're going to be going over the movie Full Metal Jacket. And we're actually going to be looking at Leonard Lawrence as he's entering basic training. Now, Leonard isn't the smartest cookie in the jar, and he's not the most athletic. And he actually makes more mistakes than everybody out of his platoon. Because of this, his whole platoon gets punished. And because of this, he starts to get singled out. Everybody starts picking on him, abusing him. I mean, literally, like taking makeshift maces and wailing on him when he can't do anything to defend himself, right? And he's during basic training, so he's already going through a lot of physical and mental stress. So this is just a bad environment for him in general, right? Especially when he's coming into this with, I believe, would be a severe anxiety disorder, right? Which presents itself as an uncontrollable fear or worry, even when it's not warranted, right? You walk outside, talking to your neighbor will kind of freak you out. You don't want to do that. You're scared, things might happen, right? And the context of where he's at really masks a clean diagnosis, right? He's in basic training. He's out, anybody's going to go through anxiety, right? It's a high stress environment for anybody who goes through it. So most therapists that he would go to would just chalk it up to him being in basic therapy, or I'm sorry, basic training. I'm going in basic training, right? And even if he does get diagnosed, right, it it's definitely looked down upon in most cultures, right? It's just most people would see it as him just not getting over his fears and being a big baby about everything. So there's definitely a negative stigma during this time about anxiety. So, looking at some of the things that allude to this anxiety disorder is the panic attacks he has. Right in the scene on the far left here, he's trying to get over this obstacle. It's really high in the air. He doesn't know how to do it. His drill sergeant's yelling at him, and he kind of freaks out. He can't understand the drill sergeant. Like nothing's going through his mind right now. He's just focused on staying alive. I would say hard gripping that wood he's got in his hand. And thing that another symptom would be his social interaction, right? The only interaction he gets is screaming at his drill sergeant, answering his questions, and talking to Joker here, which would be the guy on the right. And he's talking to him, and the only thing he's saying is, does everybody hate me? How does everybody think of me? He's only focused on the bad parts, and he's not even talking, having normal conversations during this process. And about halfway through, he kind of psychologically breaks and just doesn't he can't concentrate on anything but the bad stuff, I would say. Right? He's always looking into the distance. He's not talking like anybody, drill sergeant's going through his normal routine, I don't know what I've been told, and then the soldiers are supposed to respond, and he's has this stoic face going on the entire time. There's actually one symptom he does not have, though he does not present, and that's the fatigue right here. It's very late right now, and he's wide awake, right? It's very late into the night, and he has no fatigue symptoms at all, right? So the treatment I would give him is therapy, definitely. It's more of a long term uh, factor for him. It's supposed to help you long term, while medication is supposed to be short term, right? To get you a working member of society, while therapy is supposed to, you know, help you across a longer period of time and eventually get off the medication and start being yourself without it. Another thing that's also recently come up in modern times is putting yourself in those environments that make you uncomfortable, right? The more time you spend in those high stress environments for you, the more accustomed you'll get to that and the more comfortable you'll be in those environments, right? Unfortunately, he'll be going untreated because he's going through basic training, that anxiety disorder is flying under the radar. And there wasn't a lot of, there wasn't a lot of treatments available for anxiety during this time, right? This high stress, putting people in high stress environments is actually something that's only been being implemented in the past 10 years for treating people with PTSD, treating that anxiety. Um, I would also say that the movie Oops. Uh, it did a good job at portraying his an anxiety disorder, right? It was a little extreme, but I think each symptom was portrayed accurately, and it gave you a good depiction of what it can look like. Although I would say the only problem I have is that this, you know, towards the end of Leonard's part of the movie, he actually kills his drill sergeant, which I don't think much anxiety people go off the rails like this. Have like a whole full psychological break. They definitely have huge panic attacks, definitely, and that's seen clearly. So I think that's probably it's possible, but I would say it's a little less likely than all the rest of the symptoms he has. And just disorders, psychological disorders in films, I believe can be a little skewed, right? As you watch all these disorders, they're, to make a good movie and to make things entertaining, they're always presented in the extreme, right? So you're only looking at these disorders as, at the highest level they can be, right? So you could be most people are looking for that level of severity when actually it's, you know, that it could just fly under your radar because you're doing that, looking for high levels of anxiety when it really could just be something, very simple, like maybe he's canceling all his plans with you guys. So I believe it's disorders in film kind of just skew your view of that. But that's it for what I have. I hope you liked it. See you later.